What's goody, what's good? You already know it's the one and only Jelly Nicole, and if you don't, welcome to the video, and now you know. I am a fashion designer, seamstress, crafter, and serial entrepreneur, and I created this YouTube channel to share tips and tricks about all of that good stuff. So grab a pen and paper, stay tuned, and let me learn you something, babes. So you've seen the title of the video. Today we're going to be discussing all the tools, materials, and machines that you need to start sewing like right now, like everything. I'm here to educate you on things that you'll really need. That way you're not spending time and money on things that you don't need, because believe me, sewing is a hobby to where you can easily like be in the hole just like that. This info is for anyone starting from scratch, so I'm literally going to be listing everything. That way you know exactly what you need to get started and exactly what I use to get started as well. So the first few things are kind of pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not really going to explain them too much. So the first thing you're going to need is a tape measure, or is it a measuring tape? You're going to need a tape measure in order to measure your body measurements, measure your garments, measure your patterns, last minute measurements. It's always good to have a tape measure at hand. The next thing you're going to need are just a pair of scissors. Use these only for paper or whatever else. Don't use these on your fabric. You're going to need that to make adjustment to patterns and things like that. So just make sure you have paper scissors. You're going to need tape. That's going to be to tape up your patterns. Sometimes you use tape on fabric, which is totally fine. So it's always good to have tape. The best tape to have is clear tape, if you can find clear tape. Another thing you want to find is a clear ruler. Anything that's like 2 inches wide is probably going to be your best bet, or anything wider, but a clear ruler is always going to help you see your pattern lines. You just want to be able to see through the ruler, and you want a wide enough ruler to where you can actually do stuff with it. Number 5 is going to be patterns. You can find them in your local crafting store. You can also check out Etsy. Etsy has wonderful patterns that you can download and print off. You can cut them and tape them together, or you can usually print off the giant pattern piece at your local printing store and then go ahead and just cut out the pattern pieces. The next thing we're going to talk about are weights. These can be pattern weights, fabric weights, whatever you want to call them, but you need something to weigh your stuff down as you're working with it. This is the first thing that's going to have an alternative. You can use things around the house. You can use your phone, rocks, but not dirty rocks. Nothing that's going to damage or dirty your fabric. Just use things that can hold your fabric down and basically keep everything in place. A tracing wheel and tracing paper are perfect for transferring over your pattern markings to your fabric, or transferring your pattern to another piece of paper. Sometimes there's notches or marks that you need to mark with a fabric marking tool. You need to purchase a fabric marking pen such as chalk or a Frixion pen. Frixion pens are the best. They go on your fabric as if you were to write on paper, but when you apply heat like an iron or a steamer, the markings disappear. So it can kind of work for you, or it can kind of not. You just have to kind of figure out which one is going to be best for the project that you're sewing at the moment. Next, let's talk about fabric. You're going to want to start with the woven fabric. The best woven fabric out there is going to be cotton. Cotton doesn't have much stretch to it as far as like the 100% calico cotton. So you can also try fabrics such as linen, or you can also try sewing with crepe. You want to stay away from fabrics that are really thin and slippery, or fabrics that are really thick and that can like easily get jammed in your sewing machine, just because you're really learning technique. So until you get the technique down, you want to use fabrics that are super simple, and cotton, linen, and crepes are going to be like the easiest fabrics to work with as you start. Try to stay away from anything stretchy, because as you sew things with a straight stitch and it's stretchy, it'll stretch out your fabric as you're sewing. So definitely stay away from stretchy fabrics in the beginning, unless you already know what you're doing. Next is a cutting mat. You're going to want to use a cutting mat to prevent any errors on your workspace from any like markings that you don't want to transfer through, or any cuts that you don't want to transfer through. The cutting mat is best for a rotary cutter. The rotary cutter is perfect for long edges or long curves, such as like dresses or pants or anything like that. Anytime you have something smaller, you want to use the smaller rotary cutter, or you want to use shears, which is the next thing, fabric shears. You want to have a pair about like 9 to 10 inches long. You could have anything shorter or anything longer, but a 9 to 10 inch blade on a pair of fabric shears is probably going to be the best way to start. You don't want them too small, because then you're going to be cutting a lot, and then you don't want them too big, because then it's hard to cut small areas. Definitely invest in a good pair of fabric shears that are about 9 to 10 inches long, and only use those for fabric only. Also get your fabric shears sharpened pretty often, about once every 3 months, just because I like I like the precision. So definitely get those sharpened and only use them for fabric. Next, we're going to talk about sewing machines. Sewing machines range in different ways, different areas, different prices. They do different things. The most basic one that I got was a Singer, which I will link down below. With a sewing machine, don't want to overspend. You want to stick to a machine that's anywhere between like $50 to $150 as a beginner. Anything under $150 can get you a decent sewing machine. If it's cheaper than $50, it might not have enough functions. So another thing that you want to think about is making sure that you have these 3 stitches: straight stitch, a zigzag stitch, as well as a buttonhole stitch. Those 3 stitches are going to be your most basic stitches as a beginner. You always want a machine that has a pedal. Do not get a handheld machine because those ones don't hold stitches correctly. So next are sewing machine needles. First needle you want to start with is a sharp needle or anything that says universal. The numbers on the needles are 80 or 90 or 100. Those numbers are European numbers, and the smaller numbers, the 14, 12, things like that, are going to be American numbers. Those are the only difference. Metric system is just different. I started off with a sharp needle, universal needle, that was sizes 12 and 14. And the needles to start with are anything that says universal or sharp, around sizes 12 and 14. Those are like your basic sizes, basic needle to start with. Make sure you're getting the proper needle for your machine. Next, we're going to talk about thread. Thread is very simple, very basic, unless you make it complicated. The simplest thread to start with is all-purpose thread. As time progresses, you'll kind of see what different types of thread there are and what they are for, and then you can kind of adjust what thread you're using. So next we're going to talk about snips. You only use snips to cut thread. They're just a small pair of scissors, if you will. As you're sewing, you're going to see a lot of thread hanging off and a lot of threads that you're going to have to cut. So snips are perfect because they don't cut into your project. They're not big as scissors. They're really easy to handle. You can just snip your threads as you go or snip it at the end of the project. Alternative you can use instead of snips are just a small pair of like beauty scissors or a really small pair of scissors. Those will work just fine. Always use your snips for only thread. Do not use your snips for anything else like cheese. Just use your snips for thread. That's it. Next are bobbins. Bobbins are going to be the small little cylinder that your bottom thread is going to go around. You need multiple bobbins for multiple reasons. First of all, they're plastic, so they can break easily. They're small, so they can get lost as well. But another reason to have multiple bobbins is also because if you're working with multiple colors and you only have 2 or 3 bobbins, those bobbins are filled with a different color thread. You really don't have anything else to do but to pull off the thread and waste thread to refill a bobbin. So definitely make sure that you invest in having multiple bobbins. That way you're able to continue on to the next project without being wasteful. You can also take a bobbin that's halfway full and fill it with the next color that you're going to use. So you can always wind a bobbin that's halfway full with a color of the project that you're doing next. Next are pins and clips. Pins and clips are perfect for sewing because they hold everything together. Pins are perfect for projects that you can poke a hole through and won't really notice. Things like denim or twill. Clips are going to be used mainly for fabrics that you can see holes through, like leather or silk. You don't want to poke holes in those, so sewing clips come in really handy with those. It's to help prevent the slip when you're sewing, also to help keep everything together and in line as you're sewing. Definitely invest in pins and clips. There are really no alternative to pins and clips except bobby pins. Bobby pins actually work very well on the edge of your project, as well as safety pins. Safety pins are great if you don't want to work with sewing pins, or if you keep poking yourself. At the beginning, I kept poking myself with sewing pins so many times. So safety pins are also a great way. They just take a little bit more time because you actually have to stop sewing, unclip them, and move on. To where pins, you just pull out and just keep going. Just like the sewing pins and sewing clips, you also want to remove everything as you're sewing through your machine. You don't want to keep anything there because it can damage your machine if it hits it, as well as the needle, things like that. Next on the list is my favorite, the seam ripper. It's my favorite because I'm always making mistakes, as you should in the beginning. That's the only way you're gonna learn. Having a seam ripper is perfect because it's like a little eraser. A seam ripper is going to save you a lot of money on fabric, on just time. It's gonna save you a lot of hassle. It's just gonna save you a lot. So a seam ripper is definitely gonna be used to make adjustments to anything or to also redo anything. Definitely something that you need to use and need to have. It's inexpensive. It's only about $1 or $2 and it saves you like $100 or $200 every time you use it. Invest in a seam ripper because it's really a great tool. The next tool is a iron. You are gonna wanna press your seams as you're sewing just to give it that professional, crispy look. But it is self-explanatory, so I'm not gonna get too much into an iron, but I will say that they have sewing irons and they also have regular irons. Either one is fine, but as you progress, you wanna invest in a sewing iron. That way you're actually having things that are specific to your niche. When you are pressing your fabric, you wanna lift up and press down. Lift up and press down. Don't glide or try to prevent sliding the iron because that can stretch out your fabric. And the last thing is a steamer. A steamer is actually going to be for the finished projects that you completed. A steamer is the best thing I've ever invested in. So when you are working with something that you just draped and it's not looking the best, and you're like, I literally just need to iron it, but you don't want to iron it because it's draped. A steamer, I don't know who thought of that, but this is the best idea ever. A steamer works perfectly, just the last final touch. So you can definitely go looking online for all of these things, or even better, you can go to the store, right? Running around trying to find all of these things. Or go ahead and drop down to my description. I have a link below to the Amazon store with everything you need, as well as some other links to like certain sewing machines that you may be interested in. They are all budget friendly, beginner friendly. I do have a practice stitch guide. That stitch guide is going to help you get familiar with your machine, help you get familiar with working with projects, keeping your seams straight, things like that. It's totally free to download. I also have one that you can purchase that's only $5 and it's a little bit more elaborate, but you can definitely get some practice in before you start working with fabric and go from there. That PDF link is in the description as well. But that is it for this video. I do appreciate you watching. Don't forget to share this video with anybody who needs to know about what tools to start with when they're learning to sew. Like and subscribe if you thought this video was interesting in any way. Comment below telling me how long you've been on your sewing journey. And let's talk about fashion, babes. And I'll see you next time. Bye. It's freaking hot. I gotta get up out of here. I don't know what happened, but I'm dying, okay? Like, y'all.